Today's going to be a little bit different. Welcome to Stewarding the Wealth Transfer. Let's go for a drive. Let's have a conversation. I want to know what drives you. I want to know what your passion is, what really makes you tick. You're about ready to be rich if you're jumping into the wealth transfer. At least that's what I think. And so the question is, are you going to be able to become wealthy? And is the thing that drives you what you can get out of it or what you can give out of it? That's the question I have. What are you made out of? Because we're not told to seek mammon and to make money our idol. But we're stupid, in my opinion, if we don't know how to use money. We're called to love people and to use money, but it's so easy for people to love money and use people. And that's not what we're about. And so I believe that God is calling the people that I'm supposed to influence to become the 1%. And, oh, Larry, do you want a bunch of rich, snooty people? No, I actually don't like rich, snooty people. I actually like regular, blue-collar, ordinary people, probably like you. That's where my stock came from. But the thing is, I want to be able to have access to be able to give more. Right now, my wife and I'm just going to tell you, and you could have a big cow about it. Larry, you're such a show off. The Bible says don't let your left hand. Hey, it's a mentoring channel. We're trying to mentor. And so we are able to give over $10,000 a month away. That's just where we're at. And it can be far more than that, but that's our base amount that goes out. And I hope that gets you excited, because I think scores of you are going to be in a far better position than I am. Well, what are you driving around your Porsche for, Larry? Well, because this Porsche marks a return from total failure. I experienced and became quite rich. I wasn't wealthy because I didn't have residual income, but I became rich, and it all crashed, and it came crashing down. And then God gave me faith that he could bring it back, and it took a decade to recover from it, but we recovered from '08, and we're in better position than ever. And God had to take me through that so that I could help you through what you're going to do. But the thing is, what drives you? Are you a getter or are you a giver? I want your passion to be a giver, but don't feel bad that you want to be a getter. And then you might be going, oh, Larry, you're all messed up. Yeah, well, go ahead and watch somebody else's channel. I don't need the most clicks. I don't love likes. I do pay attention. I want to grow the channel, but I don't monetize the channel. The book, I want to influence others with what God has blessed me with, and I want to be a part of an army of thousands of people who will give generously to the kingdom of God. We've got billionaires that have been ruling the world for far too long. And you go, what do you mean? Well, Zuckerberg gave, I think, $240 million 4 years ago to a selection that he influenced because of the $240 million that he gave to these various states, including my own, to influence elections. And so I think that God is turning everything around. I think God is giving some of you faith that you're going to become super wealthy. And I think that God is going to bless you. And the thing is, well, you're going to become super rich first, and you're going to have a lump sum of money. And the thing is, what are you going to do with that lump sum? Are you going to sit there and just go buy a brand new car? And do I have a problem with driving nice cars? No, I don't have a problem with driving nice new cars. Guess how old this car is? You won't believe it. It's 16 years old. I love this car. This is what I wanted when I was in high school. I think if you're prosperous, most guys have a cool car they wanted from when they were in high school. This is a '08. I graduated in '81, so obviously I didn't want this car. I wanted a 911. It's close enough. It's a Cayman. It's a very affordable copy in a sense of a 911. But I love it. This car makes me smile. I love it. I was going to take you on a drive with this car, but my Dixie cup phone holder really doesn't work very good, and so I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to take you on a little drive. But I want to know what drives you. And, people go, well, it's so not right. I liked your channel, but now you're driving around your fancy car showing us. Hey, you've got to have it to give it. You can't give what you don't have. And I want to challenge you to give more than what you live off of. That's who I'm after. I'm after people. Maybe you're making a normal, maybe you're struggling, maybe you're way behind. But if you don't want to give more than what you live off of, you're not the niche that I'm going after. For those who have ears to hear. And, I don't care if you stumble along and you might come into money. I don't think you're going to be able to hold on to it. And I think that God is blessing people with eyes of faith. But there's people who have driven crazy in the Bible. I was thinking about Jehu today as I was thinking about, I was going to whip you through on my favorite drive in Longview. It is like, it could make a Porsche commercial with this road I used to live on. It is so awesome, but my camera would go too much like this, so I can't show you. But I was thinking about, they talk about in the Old Testament, Jehu, and I think he was running after Ahab and his wife, if I remember, but I might be wrong in that. But he drove furiously, and everybody knew by the way he drove his chariot who he was, and they feared it. And I think that God is raising up crazy, wild people of faith, men and women of faith, married and single people. I think especially single ladies who the world would say, you're not supposed to have confidence, you're not supposed to have an opinion, you're not supposed to be able to be wealthy, but God is giving you crazy faith. He's going to raise you up. I'm going to show you a picture or a video tomorrow of what drives me. I love giving. And you go, well, Larry, you just keep showing off how much you give. Well, somebody's got to do it. I don't know why the church doesn't talk about the blessings that are available to the righteous. It's like you got to be a sissy, giver. It's like you just give your little tithe off the pittance that whoever pays you. God has way bigger things. There's people that God is raising up. They're going to give far more than your entire church. There's people that God's raising up on this channel. They're going to give more than your town currently gives. And that's to the kingdom alone. And you may go, you're crazy, but I think a lot of you know that I'm right, because that's what God's showing me. There's, so many of you on this channel are going to give more than your whole church knows, because your pastor or whoever's leading doesn't know how the blessings and the true amazing prosperity that awaits those who will seek first the kingdom of God. And you can't have access to tremendous wealth without tasting some of it your own. Tell me Solomon didn't have wealth. He wrote Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes talks about enjoying prosperity while you can, because it's going to come and it's going to go. And during this wealth transfer, it's going to come to many of you. And some of you are going to fall victim to stupidity along the way. When I got rich the first time, I'm going to drive down the road and show you my old house. It was really a cool house. In fact, I'll show it to you right now. And we lived in this house, and this is when I started making $1,000 every day. I made over $365,000 every year I lived in this house until we didn't. And then we began to realize a year later, we're not going to be able to hold on to this thing. And then we eventually lost it. And this is where we lived when we lost our house. And this is the house we lost. Because what's coming is not going to last. It's only going to last for a while. So when the money comes, are you going to be able to turn it into wealth? I've got some ratios for you. When you get a pile of money, you don't spend the pile of money. You spend, I'm going to challenge you, and this is a very conservative amount, but so you can know what can you do? What should you do? This is my opinion. I'm not going to give all kinds of things. This isn't thus saith the Lord. This is what I've prayerfully thought of so that you'll know. If you get a pile of $10 million in the wealth transfer in the next 8 months, what could you spend? Well, I would say 1% of that. 1% of 10 million for an annual amount would be 100,000. You might go, well, I want more than that. I sure could afford to spend more. I'm just telling you that's what my thing is. And we actually spend less than 1% of our net worth per year on ourselves. And so then what else do you do with it, Larry? Well, I would encourage you to give more than 1% away. And so that's just when you have a lump sum of money. Well, Larry, I mean, what about then we do that? That's 2% a year. And in 50 years, it's all gone, and inflation and everything. I'm just saying, when you get a lump sum, that's your plan. You guys need to be focusing on your giving plan. Your getting plan is pretty laid out. I think Kim Clement lays it out. People like Lauren and Marcus, they tell you what to do. God's revealing to them. He doesn't speak to me that way. He speaks to me in a couple dreams and visions, but mostly I feel like I'm supposed to study what Kim Clement said, and I feel like he's unlocking that, and I'm going to reveal that through the wells to you. But are you a getter, or are you going to be a giver? And are you going to focus on cash flow? Because the difference between me being rich the first time and now the second time is I'm a giver, not only a getter. And so I would encourage you, and this is kind of like a peace sign, but it's not related to an inverted cross like the peace sign. I'm just showing you. If you drew a circle of how much your cash flow is, let's say you get $10 million. And then, but how much money comes in every month? Well, nothing comes in, because you got to start investing. And this isn't a channel for savers. This is a channel for investors and kingdom-oriented people who want to grow businesses, ministries, and other things. And I hope that you invest in the wells of blessing that Kim Clement talked about. But what are you going to do? What are you going to invest in? So what I would encourage you, once your cash flow arrives, to split the circle of 100% into 3 parts. And I would encourage you to live off a third at the most. I would encourage you to give a third at least. And then I would encourage you to invest the rest. That's how I want you to think about it. You get a lump sum, you live on 1% until you get it invested. It's going to take you a number of months, even a year, to get your cash flow figured out. And so I don't want you to feel guilty about taking a year to figure out your giving plan. You don't need to give it all away. You're a business. This is not a personal thing. I will guarantee you that if you read my book, you'll see the modern governmental thinking has permeated the Western church, and we feel like we have to tithe the way the IRS tells us to. But if you're a business, a lot of businesses, like say a Christmas tree farm, they lose money 11 months out of the year, and they make all their money at 1 month. You may have money come in over this wealth transfer, but you don't know what your expenses are going to be. So I want you to tithe like a Christmas tree farm. At the end of the year, you should give a tithe. But if you make $10 million, I'm telling you, don't give $1 million to your little podunk church, or don't give $1 million to your big church. It's what you live off of and what you consume, in my opinion. And I can take a lot of heat for that. Go ahead and bring it. The Bible says, give in your heart what each has determined in his heart to give. And so I believe I'm on biblical grounds. If you don't think I'm on biblical grounds, does your pastor teach that you're supposed to tithe when you sell your house? Oh, he does. Oh, that's great. What about when you lose money in your house like I did? Or, some of you are selling your house right now. You could easily lose $60,000 or $70,000, $70,000. You might lose $200,000. If you're supposed to tithe on your house, do you get to write off the losses on your house? What about when your business starts making crazy money? How about when it loses a bunch of money? My business was losing $20,000 a month in 08, 09, 010, and then in 11 I had no more money because I lost $20,000 a month for 2.5 years. I didn't have any more money. I had to go bankrupt. So there's a lot of giving concepts that are in the church that are based on IRS rules. And so you don't have to give if you're a business until the end of the year, if you have no history of all this money. By the end of the year, you need to give it for next April. And that's if you think taxes are going to even exist. That's a whole different question. I think if Trump's going to start giving waitresses tax benefits, I think it's going to come to guys like me and people like you. So I want you to consider what drives you. I want you to begin working on your investment plan. I want you to especially begin to work on your giving plan. It's going to be twice as hard to learn how to give. And you're going, well, Larry, who should I give to? Well, we give about half our monthly, actually probably more than half, maybe 70%. I haven't actually ever done the math on what we break it down, but missions is a huge part. Great missionaries. I'm going to introduce you tomorrow to one of my favorite missionaries ever. And we support a number of mission and missionaries each month, and some of these are very close friends, but I'm going to show you who my favorite. As far as like stewarding their resources, and the Jakelists have been amazing. They're from Oregon. They got married in the same church that Tracy and I did. Tracy's parents supported them for forever. That's how come I got to know them. I've been to Cuba with them. I write about them. We're going to go to Cuba on this channel with them. And so they are phenomenal. They are a worthy thing. And you might be going, right now, Larry, I'm a waitress in New York, and I don't have any money to give. I mean, I could give, $8 or $9. There you go, $9. There's a spot for you. You're going to make a difference for them because their kids, Luis and Harmony, $9 makes a difference to them. They're not like some big American operation that just is loaded with money. They've been hammering it out just like Tracy and I did when we were in Hungary. And that's how come we had to go through the hell that we went through, is because we didn't know how important it was for people to begin to give monthly. And so I'm telling you that I think you should give to them, and I think it'll make a bigger difference than you buying another $9 worth of XRP or something. I think God's going to bless you and help you to hold on to it. You need to be investing in. Kim Clement consistently talks about you need to begin to sow, and then you need to begin to invest. I usually tell you investing things. Here is a sowing thing. I challenge this channel. The dream that God has given me from 25 years ago when I became a millionaire the first time is I thought, God, why is the National Home Builders doing a better job discipling people than the church? I've longed for this day. I long for the day when I can invite my friends, my tribe to a meeting, and they can invite their vetted missionaries and missions and different things that they want to give money to. And we can have these people come through knowing they're going to be accountable and held accountable. And we can ask them to share their heart. What are their true needs? How many times have you seen somebody go before your church and say $9 a month, $9 a week would help get this place clean so the wife doesn't have to spend 2.5 hours doing it? While she's raising 4 kids and being a pastor's wife. There's things that you can give for $50 a month, $100 a month. You can give it through PayPal if you just want it to go directly to them, or if you're going to give larger amounts, it would actually make a difference in your taxes. There's a way to do that as well. I would encourage you to reach out to them, not to bug them, but just to check in on them. If you're going to invest in them, let them know. And I've encouraged them, and I kind of gave them a word. I told them, you guys should start a channel to show us what it's like, because God has blessed me through this channel that I thought was crazy that some 61-year-old guy could do. And you guys have bought nearly 500 books in the month of June. I'm so happy, and is it changing my lifestyle? No, but it's making a difference. And Lauren Atkinson texted me today, said, Larry, people are signing up for my classes, and the ones that have read your book are all over it, and it's really an encouragement. And she goes, I'm excited to work with you on the next book. So we're not working together. She's writing her book. I'm going to write mine. But I believe together we can be a part of a tribe. We're a part of a team that's going to work together. I would encourage you to begin to invest where you're at. Tracy and I are investing over $1,000 a month into this family that I'm going to share with you. I hope that you can invest $10 a month into them. And then just begin to pray about it. But it's a no-brainer when you know they're amazing, when you know they're good. So anyway, this is what drives you. I hope this drives you to be a giver and not a getter. So many people are only about the getting, and I don't feel bad about it. I want you to drive hard. I want you to be like Jehu. Let me say another thing. don't you believe that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him? Don't you think he can reward us with this? You don't know how happy I was. I think God smiles when I get to drive my Porsche through the mountains and safely, but, maybe slightly above the speed limit occasionally. Who knows? I don't know if the angels get out then. That's not part of my theology, but I'm sure that they've helped me a couple times. But the thing is, what drives you? Is it giving or is it getting? I'm going to pray that God will make you a passionate giver. My wife and I were talking yesterday, and I'm going to share this story and then I'm almost done. My wife, I don't know that you could know this, but she volunteers at essentially the Caring Pregnancy Center. But since Google doesn't like that name, they've all had to make their own names, so that the left can't just eliminate people who love babies and want to help, keep them around and help them in whatever way. Young mothers, godly or whatever their story, usually they're not from the church, sometimes they are, and they reach out and provide learn while you earn. And so, my wife gets invited between Mother's Day and Father's Day to go to all these churches. She was at a smaller, medium-sized church a couple weeks back in our area here. It's pretty funny. And the pastor was talking about what people might think about guys like me, talking to some guy that I think the pastor might have a detailing business or something, because he was at some guy's garage and the guy had a big shop and he had all these cars in there and the pastor was helping him and he was just showing him all these cars. And the pastor's not a man of great means, but he said, I'm a man of great treasure. Let me show you what. Thank you for showing me your beautiful cars. I'd love to help you with them. Let me show you what makes my heart pleased. And I think God's as well. And he showed a picture of a big family. And that was a cool illustration. But then the hilarious part is, and if you know me and you know my channel, you'll think this is funny. You'll see where I'm going. But my wife was speaking there and the guy goes, today we're talking about the man who had so much stuff he built barns. And he goes, I think a modern day application, and I wasn't there, but this is the way I'm telling the story. The modern application is those storage owners. I don't know if you know it, but those self-storage owners, they're some of the richest people. And they're some of the richest people. And I just can't believe how much they can get for a storage unit. And these guys just basically print money. And I don't think that it's a godly thing, and I don't think we should support him. We shouldn't have anything to do with him. And he's just going on and on and on. And my wife's just kind of smiling. So the next day, she was telling me about it. And I said, well, you should send him that picture off our website. And she goes, well, which picture? Because our daughter helped us with our website a long time ago. I'm going to show you the picture that we sent him. And for those of you who don't know, we have a large self-storage facility. I thought that was pretty funny that, and he thought it was actually pretty funny too, but he's a great pastor. So much of the Western church has a bias against people of means, but the left, the ungodly, have had a tremendous advantage of means because they put their money where their mouth is. And I want you to become part of the 1%. And I'm talking about living on only 1% and giving 1%. I want you to be a part of the 1%. And you're going to be worth far more than the top 1% of the population. You're going to watch that whole thing shift beginning in this year. And I think it's just weeks and months away. But I want to know what drives you. And I appreciate you being with me as you listen to my little rant in my little car here. I'm going to go put this thing away, show you a picture of where the street I used to live. And you guys have a good one. And support this family when this video comes out tomorrow. Thank you very much.